Hey everybody, it is Ryan Mauro. Welcome to the Counteroffensive. This is the third episode titled Candace Owens, Iran's Weapon of Mass Dysfunction. And you're going to see why I called it that. And we're going to look at, yes, there actually is a relationship between the Iranian regime, although it's not as direct as the one Russia has with her, but Iran does have one. And that might surprise you because you're probably thinking the first two episodes you showed all these other connections to extremist people and the Russian government. I mean, how can there be more? And the answer is because it's Candace Owens. And things always get worse when it's Candace Owens. There's always something more. Either something to find or what you found gets worse. So we're going to be diving into that. But again, this is not about Candace Owens, actually. This is just an example, a microcosm of a bigger war that's going on, one that affects every single person. And without realizing it, every single person participates in. So keep that in mind, and I'll explain the connections between all of that. We do have the super chats for those of you that want to support us. And the dollar challenge, as you guys may know, I challenge people that spend some time watching this to make a tax-deductible donation of at least $1, and I'm happy, at ryanmauro.com. Because just if a small percentage of viewers do that, then we'll be good to go to continue this, because it does cost a lot of time and money, and the loss of time is the loss of money. So I don't know if I'll be able to continue this, but if we can, it'll require support from you guys if you want it to continue. If you feel this is impactful and it's worth your time. So let's get into the investigation with Candace Owens, Iran's weapon of mass dysfunction. Again, this is episode 3. You may want to watch episode 1 and 2 to fully get it. The first one was the one where we disclosed the evidence that we found indicating that she's planning to flee to Russia if the lawsuits don't go her way, and then possibly move her assets to Dubai. So that was pretty explosive, and that's still not out there in the public realm yet. That's just on the podcast. It hasn't been written up anywhere in any amount of detail. And then episode 2, we looked at when this all began, the story, and that was called When the Bear Targeted TPUSA. And we looked and discovered that Russia had been launching influence operations to target Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk for influence, not violence that we know of, but for influence, and specifically Candace Owens in 2018. So this has actually been going on a long time. So you're gonna see why I'm going at this in stages as it goes, and how over time, once we get done talking about Candace, you're gonna see how it connects to a lot of other people, and it's really gonna change how you view what's going on in our civil society and some of the sicknesses that we're trying to cure and address. The basic theme, the overall lesson that I hope you take away from this will not just be that Candace Owens has some kind of relationship with the Iranian regime. Of course, that's the headline, but that this is a war of ecosystems. So it's not even armies and intelligence services. Those certainly play a role, but fundamentally, this is all about ecosystems because borders don't exist on the internet. So it's all about what echo chambers we choose to build for ourselves. And every single one of us does it. And so Russia, China, Iran, and all the bad actors have realized that's our weak point. That's how you attack our civil society. And that's our weakest point. We've never had an enemy attack it like it's being attacked now. And if you succeed in making it toxic, you essentially destroy the United States. I mean, you make it cease to function, and then what will happen is it will crumble. It will fall apart. It will split into pieces. And so it's a strategy that is highly likely to succeed unless there's pushback. So that's why I named the podcast The Counteroffensive. So this is about a war of ecosystems. So keep that in mind in order to understand the significance of some of these connections. Because if you're looking for secret meetings with Iranian spies, and that's your standard, you're not going to get it. And that's also most of the time not how it even works anymore. We're in a new age, people. So let's start with, well, when Candace first got angry at me was because I was on Newsmax and I talked about her ties to Russia, and I also mentioned the fact that Russian media and Iranian media, which coordinates as if it's like one thing, amplify her constantly, because to them, if you help Candace Owens, you hurt America. How you hurt America? You hurt Turning Point USA, a judgment that they've made all the way back in 2018. They realize that. And therefore, it means hurting Erica Kirk. And the reason I call Candace Owens a weapon of mass dysfunction is because that's the specific objective here, is to attack Turning Point USA, attack Erica Kirk, attack anyone connected to them in order to hurt America. Yes, and therefore assist Candace Owens, because that's what she's doing. That is the specific objective, but there is a broader objective of just spreading lies and filth into our discourse. The type of stuff that Candace and various other people do to make people confused, not able to tell the difference between what's true and what's false, dysfunction. So when I talk about these influence operations, the first thing that comes to mind is like Russia trying to get people to be pro-Russia, China trying to get people to be pro-China. But that actually for them is secondary to the preliminary stage, which is just make civil society in the West toxic and dysfunctional, and make it so people can't talk, they can't do research, they can't learn, and then those other opportunities will naturally present themselves. It's just like doing an aerial campaign, bombing the enemy by air before you send in ground troops for an invasion. So they want to attack civil society. They don't care how they do it, promote any type of conspiracy theory, doesn't matter. Their strategy is not even to make you believe it. It's just to take up your time, to frustrate you. To
distractions, like distractions to distract you from
distractions, to wear down your brain, to attack your critical thinking, just to make it not work and difficult, and make people become more tribal, apathetic, and just make it so you can't be on the same page. Because for civil society work, you have to have some level of a common basis. And if I want to, for example, have a conversation with someone about the weather, they have to know what I mean by weather. We've gotten to a stage where people will say, well, my truth is that weather means elephants. And they're going to think that you're talking about a zoo. And meanwhile, I'm trying to talk about lightning.
Right.
Like that's kind of the point of where we've gotten. But part of that is by design. And the explosion of bots that you're seeing whenever you mention or tag Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, especially Buckley Carlson for some reason, just look at the commonality between the insults and all the profiles that come in. Get a taste of it, and you'll see how bad the problem is, because that's just what's right in front of you. All right, so that's kind of the broad thing that I need everybody to understand, so that you can understand the significance of some of the ties that we're going to go through. So I'm going to have you guys take a journey with me. We're going to follow the evidence trail together. So where does it begin? What was the first thing that I and other people noticed? It was that the Iranian regime liked Candace Owens' content. And the chief propaganda outlet was Press TV. So it's a little bit hard to see there. This is just one example, but it's a good one. This is actually from 2024, so a little bit ago. And notice how they describe her: political commentator, American media personality, not like controversial or anything, just totally neutrally. And she is reacting to how the head of Telegram got arrested. And this was also when she said, thinking about moving to Dubai. If you remember from episode 1, that was a little bit of a tell that she was thinking of some plans she would enact later on. But from the Iranian perspective, they didn't care so much about that. If you could just bring it back up, because I want to read that quote.
Yeah, and just a tip, if you hover over the view screen where you see yourself, there should be a little square in the bottom right that'll appear. And if you click on that, it'll make your screen really big. So if you have trouble reading the text.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I think I do.
Now.
Okay.
There you go.
Still learning things, folks. So here's what, of all the things that she said, they're like, this is the one that we need to regurgitate. And it was, again, she's reacting to what happened to the head of Telegram. She says onslaught on free speech, of course. because the Iranian regime does care about free speech. I mean, yeah, really. But anyway, the quote is, "The trouble with free speech is that it disallows the media to set the narrative. They used to be able to justify war to you in a faraway land, and now you can see the reality of what they are doing. And this is why the guy who leads Telegram, because the demons are losing control." So this is in 2024. The demons are losing control. That's actually significant, because people have noticed her talking in that language more recently, particularly around the time she went to Russia and stuff she was saying in Russia. But here in 2024, you see it's already kind of coming into her rhetoric. It's not just, oh, free speech. It's not just, difference of opinion. I don't like this person. Someone said, I have no idea what it means. So basically, here's what it means. So she is trying to say that the warmongers need to shut down Telegram and encrypted chats and all of that, because the free flow of information makes it hard for you to wage unjust wars. And so the Iranian regime is copying that. But then she goes further and she frames it as a demonic thing. So it's not just countering political forces that she disagrees with and feels are too hawkish. It's that they're demons, and the demons are in control. Now they're losing control because of encrypted apps. This is going to be significant for a later episode, but just try to remember that she's attacking technology, right? So she's talking about the changing in technology. There, in a way, she's saying it's a good thing because you are fighting the warmongers, but she's still saying that technology right now is controlled by demons. I just found a speech where actually I won't go into it. There's a bigger reason why I'm pointing that out. But the Iranian regime seized on that. And so there's a commonality between what Russia and Iran want to propagate out there. That's what they felt was useful. But there are a bunch of other outlets linked to Iran. Press TV is like the openly Iranian government one. Others, they hide it just like a tiny little bit. And so I was going through Telegram and I was looking at all the different places, all the bad guys who are promoting Candace Owens material, which ironically enough includes Nazis and white supremacists. Like, I spend a lot of time in those chats because I find suspects and evidence to give to law enforcement. I've been doing that for many years. And the white supremacists really like Candace Owens.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Yeah. It was a little surprising. There's a lot fewer racist comments when they're promoting her. It's funny. It's like, for the moment they just forget that part and just appreciate her so much. Well, sometimes warning not to trust her fully, but they like the message. So let's look at TMJ. Because this is one that most people haven't heard of. So they mentioned Candace Owens 19 times since 2024. And they're not like a major outlet that produces a lot of content. So that's a high percentage. But they talk about Candace's content just like many people do without mentioning Candace sometimes. I mean, she's promoting Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. Yeah, you're talking about it because of Candace, but you may not actually mention her name because it's not really relevant to what you're talking about, what just happened in the case or something like that. So let's see how many times that they mentioned Charlie Kirk. TMJ
on
News,
it, yes, sir, right here.
Right.
Got
Yeah.
you.
TMJ News mentioned Charlie Kirk. We zoom in a little bit. It's not that important for you guys to read it. It's just
to see the number of times I'll zoom in and zoom out.
Yeah, over and over and over, just by putting his name in 24 times. So 19 mentions of Candace Owens, 24 mentions of Charlie Kirk by this Iranian regime. I would call it a front. I'm comfortable. It's very, very pro-Iran. They try to downplay it a little bit and say that they're appealing to anyone who believes in God, but the content is very, very Islamic. So you can tell it's part of their ecosystem. They call it the God-centric lens. TMJ network is. So it's full of Islamic content, but then you look at the description on there, what they'll say is that our focus actually isn't proselytizing or anything like that. We are American and independent, and we are God-centric. That's the content. If you guys have watched the earlier episodes, you'll notice that sounds a little bit like someone else, right? The Russians. That's kind of their message. Although they're really doubling down on Christian identity stuff, but they'll say the commonality between us and the jihadists, for example, is that you believe in God. And those liberals are atheists, whether they want to admit they're atheists or not. They're the evil globalist atheists. That's kind of the framing. So Iran is adopting that too, but it's more significant than that. So we know TMJ News and these other outlets are promoting Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories, promoting Candace Owens more generally. But if we go to where TMJ talks about, because they have an English language website, again, because they say they're American, maybe they actually are to some degree. But they have, they talk about part of the Iranian constitution. And I don't see this part mentioned too much. I've known about it, but not many people know about it.
Wow. Okay. So this was the last one I showed. I may have gotten ahead of you. So forgive me. Y'all were getting your comments pinned. Please make sure you are liking, sharing this out, tag a few friends. He is streaming on Rumble, YouTube, the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. So you guys, thank you for keeping the chat going. And if you want to donate to help keep the lights on, the $1 challenge is going. So if you go on over to ryanmauro.com, take care of that. So this was the last slide you were talking about, and then you started to transition into the next part.
TMJ Constitution, something like that.
Oh man, I may have.
Or TMJ Iran Constitution.
See.
So that's so people know that's Basira Press, who we're going to get to. But that's an example of the Iranian regime amplifying Candace.
Yeah. So now you want me to go to, what was it again? I'm sorry.
That's all right. The file name is like TMJ Iran Constitution or TMJ Constitution. Gotcha. You guys will get a kick out of this one. It explains so much. It's like one of the common questions I get gets answered by this part of the Iranian constitution that doesn't get mentioned too much.
Boom.
There we go. So this is, again, from the supposedly independent American news website. So it says Article 154 of the Constitution also states, the Islamic Republic of Iran considers human happiness throughout human society as its ideal. It considers independence, freedom, and the governance of justice and truth as the right of all people of the world. Okay, right of all people of the world. They're not talking about making people Muslim at this point. Like, that's a goal. But then if we go back to it, it says consequently.
One moment. Sorry. Forgive me.
Right.
I just lost my layout.
That's all right.
StreamYard's messing with me tonight. There you go.
That's all right. All right. So consequently, while it completely abstains from any kind of intervention in the internal affairs of other nations, it supports the struggles of the oppressed for their rights against the oppressors anywhere in the world. All right. So they say that they're not going to intervene in other countries' internal affairs. But if there's a population that they feel is oppressed, then they feel religiously obligated, not just if they're Muslim, but they have to get involved. They no longer consider that to be internal affairs. They consider it to be their affairs. So they start it in the Iranian constitution by making it sound like they're isolationists. We don't get involved in other countries' internal affairs. But then it qualifies it. So, but anytime there's a struggle by the oppressed people against the establishment, then we are theologically required to get involved. That now it's our affairs. And it goes on to explain that it basically says the website does. It's making the case for Iran getting involved and helping extremists left, right, and everywhere. And that's the overall point. So it's actually in the Iranian constitution. When people say probably the top question I get is, well, how is it that you can have what's called the far left or the far right that's incompatible with the Islamists working with them? How does that? Don't they know they'll have to fight each other one day? And that may or may not be true, but it's much more consistent with their ideology than we give them credit for. Because look at what's in the Iranian constitution. They're actually required to get involved. So it'll never stop. So people, I think you can negotiate that one into a memorandum of understanding. Nah, they believe God tells them that you have to do it. And their constitution requires them to do it. They breach their own constitution if they don't do it and support extremism and terrorism and things like that. So they have to do what we're talking about. Now, when I was looking at TMJ Network, because they say that they're American and they clearly are loyal to the Iranian regime. I don't even know if they hide it because of the way they talk about the supreme leader. I saw that their content gets distributed to other places. So we're talking about a war of ecosystems. So it might get a Candace Owens clip might get posted in one regime channel. Sometimes they'll appear across all of them at once, but oftentimes you just post it somewhere and then the rest know to copy it, or they just forward it. And so what you see here is that TMJ Network, you forward it. Yeah, I think they got it or whatever it was. It got passed back and forth. It's hard for me to see what's going on there. It got passed back and forth between Basira Press or Basira Press, whatever. We're going to say Basira.
I want to say Basira too. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
So
says exclusive report. How does but down here, Basira Press, and it's a clip of Candace Owens. Was that the one you were talking about?
Oh, yeah. I see. I see what I did. Yeah, I messed up in the timeline a little bit. But basically, so that's an example of Basira Press amplifying Candace. But a lot of the time when they're amplifying Candace, they're actually amplifying another Iranian regime or Russian regime outlet because it's an ecosystem. You don't have to even issue orders. One part knows if the other one is talking about something, you talk about it, or you just copy and paste, forward their content into your own channel so it gets around. And then people think they just read 100 different sources. But actually your ecosystem is just being dominated by similarly scripted content or literally the same piece of content being forwarded back and forth. So this applies also to the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theory. So let's look at Basira Press.
Got you. I'm there. I'm getting there right now.
Sure.
I was like, if he says just a few more words, I'll have it up right.
I know. I move rapidly because it's like
no, this makes me better.
Evidence trail.
Yeah, this makes me way better. So I hope to one day just be able to read your mind. I'll have all this memorized and boom, 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 boom. So I got you. So this is the Basira Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories, and you should be able to see it up on the screen. And let me enlarge it.
So all right, so you guys can see at the top there, it says it was forwarded from TMJ News Network. Now, you might have seen in some interviews, I talk about the cycle, how part of the reason I view so many of these problems differently than the vast majority of people, and I see all these different extremes as just one global seditionist movement. That's like my mantra, is because of what you just saw there. I will see that content go from Islamist chats, Sunni, Shia, whatever, go to the white supremacist ones. They'll go to the Marxist and the left-wing anarchist ones, and it'll travel that in both directions, and it'll complete a circle. So I will literally watch, and the content of these chats are so similar at times, and a lot of it's blatantly just Russian language. A lot of it's coming from Iran-linked sources. It doesn't matter. They just fill up these different channels. But like that piece of content, you see how it came from TMJ and it ends up in Basira. That's just within the Iranian ecosystem, but it's reaching Americans that way. But you'll see that same piece of content go from like the Marxists to the anarchists that are left-wing, and then from there to the Islamists. But then you also see propaganda go from the Islamists to the white supremacists and the QAnon types and just any conspiracy theory chat, which are some of the biggest ones. Some that are just conspiratorial in general. They're the biggest target because they have the biggest audience. One of the big things you'll see is the anarchist chats. There's not just left-wing Antifa anarchists. Not all of them are communists or Marxists or just plain anarchists that you think are left-wing. There's anarcho-capitalists, anarchists that identify as libertarian. That's kind of a very common thing. So then you'll see content that goes from the left-wing Antifa chats that originally came from something like Basira Press, Go to the left-wing ones. You'll see it go to the right-wing anarchists. And the right-wing anarchists, it will get to QAnon types, or it'll get to the white nationalists, and then flow back into the Islamist ones. You see, so it's like interconnected digital colonies for each ideology, and it's all one ecosystem. So that's why the far left, far right thing, I'd say I hate those terms. I hate the terms right and left. I hate all the binary terms, because I see that and I'm like, that's one system. That's one factory. That's the enemy army right there operating. And so these debates where people say it's like, oh, is the left more radical than the right and stuff, is the biggest waste of time in my mind. It's like, no, this is a separate thing. And when you recognize it, Americans will be more united and maybe do something like look at polls showing what Americans believe and what they want done, and realize, oh my God, we fight all the time about these abstract concepts, whether it's like pro-gun, anti-gun, pro-abortion, anti-abortion, that don't account for the nuances. But then when you account for the nuances in the polls and you say, well, what do you want us to actually do? What do you think we shouldn't do or should do? And you'll see the majority of Americans agree on almost everything. But the binary, the left-right binary covers that up and assists our enemies. And so that enables what I just showed you to happen, where you have, that's just the Iranian part of the ecosystem. But that I found those because of broader Islamist chats that include Antifa and communist ones, and I'll see end up with white nationalists. So it really is one thing. Let's pull up
the 10 posts and then the 27. There you go.
So here we go. Now, it goes from, and keep in mind, the content is so similar in all these that's how you know it's deliberate manipulation, because usually if you're going to copy content, it's because it's content you don't have. They don't add anything. This is just about filling people's brains and filling content with the same message over and over again. So the 10 posts there are showing how many times Basira Press in the Telegram chat, just the Telegram chat, mentioned Candace Owens 10 times. So now let's see what the number is if we look up Basira Press and we type in Kirk or Charlie Kirk. I've got a screenshot of that. Because again, why? Because not every time people talk about Candace originated stuff do they actually mention Candace. It gets broader distribution and fits into a broader narrative. So with that one, towards the top, it'll give us a number. Unless I might not have put...
No, you're good. Let me...
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, I think so.
It might have been cut. Oh, no, the message is in. If I could get it to sit still for a second. 27.
There we go. 27.
Yes, 27.
So the same content went from one Iranian regime outlet with Candace's material. TMJ News, Candace 19 times. Charlie Kirk mentioned 24 times, always in the conspiratorial sense. Then goes to Basira Press. And it's the same thing. Oh, you got 10 posts about Candace, 27 about Charlie Kirk, and it makes no sense. It doesn't add any value. It's just about creating an echo chamber. And then it looks like Regina, just so you know,
I'm looking for the Basira Press one
thing there.
Go ahead.
You know what?
I think there's a file missing.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. Well, actually.
Maybe
you know
no.
what? I'm fine.
You're good.
I'm good. So now who is Basira Press? Like, am I just going too far into the weeds? Like, no, this is going to be very, very relevant. So let's continue the trail. So now we're asking, what is Basira Press? And so let's go to Salam Bio. But let's look at the guy who runs it, right? That's the first thing you want to do.
That's a good idea. Let me pull it up. Salam Bio. I got you right. Yep. Oh, that's gonna be nice. Here we go.
All right, Basira Press. So all right. So that's the guy that's running this English language Iranian regime outlet. English language that you guys can all read it. And the interesting bio there. Pretty openly saying how he handled websites for Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader.
Oh wow!
And he mentions. Look at this. God conscious. Remember before I said TMJ News. What was their goal? Supposedly different outlet. Independent American. God conscious. So I'm going to show this is basically an extension of the same thing, but here's what's important about that. One of the things that he admits saying in there as the editor-in-chief, what did he do before forming Basira Press? It was the International American Herald, something like that. Let's go to Salam Left US.
Salam Left US, got you.
Yeah. So, all right, so now we got to ask ourselves, so what, all right, he ran an American entity or something that sounds American? Was he ever in the United States? What else is there that connects him to the U.S. to have that task? We look for it, and one of the books that they put out with Cynthia McKinney works closely with them, if you guys remember her. The Green Party candidate, really, really nutty, and now she's involved in creating pro-Hitler films. Even though she's far left and hangs out with, like, Marxist extremists, she makes common calls with the white nationalists when it comes to the topic of Hitler, because I guess Hitler brings people together, these types of people. But here, so they're talking about Ali Salam, the guy who runs Basira Press, that is regurgitating Candace's content. Oh, he's a convert. All right, so he converted in late 2013. He was born to a Russian Jewish family. But what happened? What happened? He left the U.S. several years because of unjust political targeting by the FBI. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Poor guy. Poor guy. He had to leave the country. So I wonder what the FBI said he was doing. I'm sure they're lying and he's telling the truth. I'm sure. So he ran International American Herald or Tribune or whatever it was called. Let's follow the trail further and go to the next one, Regina.
Seized website. Yep. Oh yeah, and the plot thickens, y'all.
Say it out loud. Say it out loud.
Seized website, y'all. This is juicy right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, this is part of why he left. What was he? The FBI was coming after him, and then after he left, what did they do? Oh, the U.S. government seized the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps domains that was using for fake news websites, propaganda, English language news websites that purported to be American. And actually, they were American. I mean, that guy was American as part of a covert influence campaign. And one of the entities there that is run by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps influence campaign is the one that he said he led. So what does this mean? The Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, this American, was working directly for them. He fled the country because the U.S. government said, all right, enough of that. We're not going to let that happen anymore. So he flees and he sets up Basira Press. And then meanwhile, we still have TMJ Network still running, which is clearly like a copy. So hopefully the government will get around to taking on those guys too, even though you can tell it's the same operation, in my opinion, in my assessment. But so who's amplifying in this ecosystem? This specifically one aimed at Americans. Again, English language content, trying to make it look like it actually was. It was coming from domestically to a degree within the U.S. It was a secret Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps covert influence campaign. So that's what that guy's a part of. But let's look at what else. Those of you who have seen the first two episodes, you're going to like this. You're going to see how things come full circle. So Basira Press, what's the other big message on their website? Because again, it's not just about reaching Muslims. It's about reaching anybody, any of the oppressed class. Oh, they start touting Russia as the holy Christian country to save the Christian world. Even though they're Islamists. This is the Iranian Revolutionary Guards talking. But this messaging is important because you're going to notice Candace Owens makes the exact same points when she goes to Russia in the earlier podcast. I was looking for the quote there.
It's getting real sensitive. Some of these files are just so sensitive. So here you go. It's
all right. Just here. I'll squint. It's fine.
If you, which part do you need me to be at?
Don't worry about it. Just leave it because if we touch it, it might mess up. All right, so it's saying to Christians, fundamentally, what's the problem? And this is the same message of the Russian Orthodox Church and Putin. but it's coming now in through the Iranian system. All right, so they say, all right, so understanding the problems of the U.S., as a Christian nation, but it's basically saying if you want to be, it's not really a true Christian country, though, because of separation of church and state.
So, can I ask you a question real quick? So, I'm reading this with you when you said the U.S. has never, this says the U.S. has never been a Christian nation as the founding fathers were believers in liberal. What do they know about what our founding fathers believed in?
Well, they did believe in Enlightenment principles, so they're accurately saying that the founders believed in separation of church and state, and they're saying, well, that's when America betrayed Christianity, just like Putin says. What's the problem? You Christians think your faith is synonymous with being a patriot, a patriotic American, but you actually have to choose one or the other. Yeah, you can't believe in the freedoms that we have and the Constitution and really be Christian, because then you're allowing unchristian influences and your country will fall apart like it is now. This is how they characterize it. But if you're Christian first and country second, then you become more like us, more like Putin. And so you're seeing this message now coming through, the same message coming through the Iranian linked network that's promoting Candace Owens. So Candace Owens goes to Russia, regurgitates what Russia is saying. Then the Iranian regime regurgitates Candace and Russia. And it's all in English language and being pushed to you. But yeah, I want to get to the call. I'll tell you when to take it down. The very foundation of America is satanic and in rebellion against God. The very foundation, you guys. So notice Candace, when she went to Russia, what was she saying? It wasn't your normal anti-American rhetoric that we've gotten from her. She starts talking about how America is a very young country, talking down about us, returning to the rhetoric she used to have in 2015 when she said the Constitution probably belongs in a museum. She was returning back to her roots, but with a Russian upgrade. And she's saying this stuff, that America is fundamentally satanic as opposed to great holy Christian Russia. This is something that even Christians can and should recognize. Thank you, Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Thank you for telling me about my faith, radical Muslims. I'm sure you really understand it and you really respect it and you have no ulterior motive. Anyway, this is something that even Christians can and should recognize rather than living in a paradox where they don't know the boundary between liberalism. Notice the word liberalism because they know a lot of Americans just think of the left wing with liberalism. It's a different application of the word. Liberalism and Christianity, which are polar opposites. As the former advocates submission to the ego, blah, 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 blah. And then as long as the structure created by George Washington and the liberals who founded the American Republic exists, they'll always have a satanic root prone to arrogance, corruption, and bloodshed. And therefore, what you need is an entirely new constitution based on divine values, not secular liberal values. See, they're adopting right-wing language, but they know that they're talking about something different, but that people aren't going to know that. So it's like they're being honest and deceitful all at once. And basically they say both Christian and Muslim who oppose, look at this, Christian and Muslim who oppose the satanic deep state.
Wow.
The Revolutionary Guards is the definition of a deep state, the KGB definition of a deep state, but it doesn't matter. So Christians and Muslims need to have a new constitution, to really honor your flawed founding in the way it should have been from the beginning. It can keep some of the good parts of the Constitution. Well, look at this. It can keep some of the good parts of the Constitution, like the balances between the three branches of government or the various rights protected in the Bill of Rights. But God must be added to the picture, even in those positive points. So they're massaging it. They're saying new Constitution, but not, it could be like, just change a little bit. We're Christians, you can save your faith. Just add, just peel back the separation of church and state, add God in there a little bit. We're not talking about much. Just be truer to your values. Look at how manipulative this is. Unbelievable. But this is being regurgitated, guys. I don't care what the propaganda is. I care how it affects Americans. And that's very similar to the stuff that you're seeing in the extremist chats and now in mainstream dialogue with people like Candace Owens. So, again, that's part of a covert, semi-covert influence operation. There is, I'll put it more succinctly, there is an Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps covert influence operation in English aimed at boosting Candace Owens, with the objective of turning America into a theocracy and making Americans think America is Satan and Russia is the holy Christian nation. So everything comes full circle that we've been talking about the past two episodes, you know. So when she went over to Russia, these things are so in sync now. She might as well have gone to Iran because the ecosystems, it's the same ecosystem. That's how evil this is. Because some people will say, oh, well, she went to Russia, like there's an acceptance because it came from Russia as opposed to coming from the Islamist world. Well, if you're open-minded to what the Russian government is saying about Christianity and it resonates with you, be aware the Iranian regime is saying the same thing. So you can't be a hypocrite. You got to be consistent here, morally and with your standards. You know, they both are saying the same thing for a reason. There's a reason that the Islamists are rooting on the Russian propaganda and helping to expand it. Now, here's the thing, though. And I talked about this in the first episode, I believe. The problem you run into is that because America it's a majority white country, we have a certain culture, a certain way of doing things. People like those that I showed you, they're going to have limited effect because of their foreign ties. People will see there's a resistance that comes up. That's why Candace Owens is so important and why there's a strategic objective to get Americans to regurgitate conspiracy theories. So it comes from Russia, and they just want conspiracy theories in general to be popular. Then they can slip in disinformation through people like Candace Owens and Iranian disinformation through people like Candace Owens. It's a joint thing. But I mean, the way I talk about this, there should be something stronger, right? Of course, there's something stronger. I'm building up a little bit.
I'm loving it. You've got me on the edge of my seat here, Ryan.
You have to understand the foundation first. And by the way, make sure you guys are engaging in the chat or whatever, because that helps the algorithm. It helps us get more views. So even if you just want to type in the alphabet, I would prefer if you put something more substantive, but any type of interaction is helpful.
Well, let's take a pause real quick, and just they have been lighting up the chat from all platforms, from Facebook to Twitch to LinkedIn. I haven't seen any from X, but YouTube has been doing great. So thank y'all so much for that. And they're just having conversations in there. Someone did say they wanted to something about Tucker, and Tracy says, I reckon our government is aware of Candace. Well, that's part of your investigation right here. So we're hoping to make them aware, and y'all can help out. So one way also to help out with Ryan's research and investigations is to go to ryanmauro.com. All right, man, you're building up. Where are we going next?
All right. So this requires a human touch, right? A touch from the American society. Like it's not just amplifying Candace Owens. I mean, if this is a serious operation, they're going to do something a little bit more, right? Well, I mean, some of this stuff is pretty direct. I mean, we just showed they weren't hiding a lot. So let's look at the other authors at Basira Press, the Revolutionary Guards Corps front for influencing American opinion. Let's look at those authors. I wonder if one sticks out. I mean, they got to have somebody that looks like us and talks like us a little bit more. Oh, E. Michael Jones. Who's that? Who is E. Michael Jones? I wonder if he appears anywhere else. Let's say, I wonder what it is that he says that they like so much, like Press TV. Does he appear on Press TV, which would be the most blatant way of promoting someone from the West that's regurgitating Iranian talking points? I'm going to get to something with this, guys. E. Michael Jones. Well, while you're getting that,
if his producer can keep up, I'm so sorry.
No,
yes,
totally
I had it right here.
I go
here
fast. I go fast.
No, you're great. I had it, and I was like keeping up, and then I must have hit the snooze button or something. But here you go. I got you. Right. Sorry.
All good. All good.
That's
so he's
right?
an American. All right. American writer. What? Wait, what's he saying? Hollywood created the Holocaust narrative. Oh, man, some of this stuff has been getting popular lately. But that goes back to January 2023. I mean, so, right? Yeah, 2023. So that's before the October 7th attacks. Man, I wonder where these previous fringe ideas, like downplaying the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, I wonder where they originated from. I wonder. Well, I mean, that's a little bit of a hint. Now, who is E. Michael Jones? He is what's considered a traditionalist Catholic. Like, that's how he's known. So he's known for two things: Holocaust denial. He's like a rock star in that weird world, but also advocating for like a Catholic theocracy. Good. That's another example, but that shows how the ecosystem works a little bit, because Assad was Iran's like puppet ally. There he is, because some people will say he's not a Holocaust denier. He doesn't say it never happened. He's just downplaying it as if that's better. But so I want to include that so people can see, no, he's actually endorsing Holocaust denial when it's from Bashar Assad. So let's learn a little bit more about what his plan is, because I mean, he's fully dedicated to this stuff, to the point that he's a writer for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's propaganda website aimed at influencing us. So that type of guy, I mean, he has a big plan, right? And he's a traditionalist Catholic, so those are the two tracks. It's like Holocaust denial, and then he fuses it with his particular brand of Catholicism that is also like theocratic in nature. It's obviously not what most Catholics believe, and not what most Catholics with traditional values believe, but calls himself traditional Catholic, and his key focus is the Jewish persecution of the Catholic Church is basically his mantra. But he repeats the message that I had before, the quote from Basira Press about trying to say, oh, America has become a satanic society, therefore has become more theocratic. He says that too, so you can see why they would like him. Regina, if you could look for Jones Catholic, and then it continues. But
yep, that's the one I'm getting right now. I said, let me open up 3 tabs so I can toggle faster. So yes, Jones, Catholic Muslim. Here we go. Boom. Can you see it? E. Michael Jones, the world map.
So he talks about a Catholic Muslim alliance to respond to the U.S. strikes on Iran. Catholic Muslim alliance. Remember the earlier 2 episodes, what I was talking about this kind of being the grand objective, and it might have sounded crazy, but now you're going to see it's getting out there, and people don't realize the origins of it. So he's sarcastically saying, "Oh, is Iran listening to my podcast?" Because what happens is he notices that what he's saying, the Iranian regime is saying. They put out this anti-American propaganda where they use the Lego characters, which, to give them credit, was a pretty witty thing to do to make something go viral. But some of the propaganda was basically trying to say the U.S. is at war with Muslims and true Christians, particularly Catholics, including the Pope, hitting the same message, but doing it in a more appealing way by using the Lego characters, making a cartoon about it. But didn't we hear about this before? We heard about a Christian Islamist alliance. I call it Tsarist Christianity because it involves having a prince or a czar. It's authoritarian. But more specifically, it's what Russia and now we see Iran want to do is they want to have the Orthodox Christians allied together and led by the Russian Orthodox Church. But they also want them to be in alliance with Catholics led by the traditionalist Catholics. Now, I don't have an exact quote from Putin and the Russian Orthodox Church saying that specific brand of Catholicism, but I just proved it here. Because look at who they chose to talk about Christian stuff in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's propaganda effort in English. He also has extensive ties to Russia. But this guy, I mean, he's a Holocaust denier. So, like, is he a big thinker? You guys think? I mean, these are complex topics. So would geopolitics necessarily be something that he's an expert in? No. So he probably got that idea from somewhere, right? Maybe he has a friend. Right? A little bit of a mentor. Maybe someone that he meets with in Iran, because E. Michael Jones does go to Iran. Oh, look at who he hangs out with. Alexander Dugin. For those of you that don't know who that is Russia's like point man for influencing MAGA, influencing Christians and conservatives. And he's very successful at it for reasons that we still don't fully understand. We still don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. But he wrote a book in 1997 that laid out his ideas that made him popular. And basically his thesis was the way to destroy the United States is to, and these are his words, promote right-wing Republican circles with isolationism in there. And yeah, there's E. Michael Jones talking about Alexander Dugin like as a Christian authority. All right, so that's the alliance they're talking about. Russian Orthodox Church, Alexander Dugin, Putin, traditionalist Catholic, E. Michael Jones. Who's E. Michael Jones work for? Russia and Iran. And Iran. Because what's the third leg? It's the Islamist part of the alliance. They want the Russian Orthodox Church leading the Orthodox Christians. They want the traditionalist Catholics like E. Michael Jones and that ilk leading the Catholics with them. But then they also want a jihadist coalition that Iran will lead, or at least lead the Shia world, but they ideally want Iran to lead the entire Muslim world. And so having this all come together like this, I mean, you have those are, I forgot to mention, those pictures are from an event in Iran. Does that not, that strings together the three episodes, and that's why I went in this order, because you have Dugin from the Russian Orthodox Church and the Russian government promoting Tsarist Christianity, representing the Orthodox wing of the alliance, meeting with E. Michael Jones, representing the traditionalist Catholic, the American who can reach Americans and particularly Catholics, they're hoping, and infect them with anti-Semitism. So he represents that. And where are they meeting? They are meeting at a sensitive event in Iran. It's either the New Horizon one or they had another one. But yeah, they'll meet at this event and they'll actually discuss propaganda points that are publicly available. Like the USS Liberty a few years ago was a big thing. People have been making a big deal about that, saying Israel tried to.
Can I jump in on that, boss man? So it's funny you bring up the USS Liberty, because I'm embarrassed to say, yes, I was a Candace. I was a Candite, not quite like these people are, but I started noticing her episodes really never went anywhere. I was like, what is this crazy? So the USS Liberty was the straw that broke the camel's back, where I absolutely could not watch her anymore. And about 6 months later, I finally called her out about it. But yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So that's where I started. I really noticed she was kicking up these theories and stuff like that. So now what you're saying is making so much sense.
Right. And there's someone, I'm forgetting her name. Is it Rachel? Let me. I don't know if I had it on in the. Oh, there we go. It's Rachel Feder, Feder, who contacted me about this connection, because apparently she's done like real academic work studying this conference where that takes place in Iran. They bring in Americans. And it's like a propaganda conference, and Dugin goes. You always hear about Dugin in the Russian context. Most people don't know that he brags about the fact he's also an advisor to the Iranian government.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wow.
He's the connector. That's that. And so E. Michael Jones saying the same thing that he's saying, because that's the pipeline. And so Rachel Feder, Feder, she has done some work really researching those conferences, and they actually will have like an agenda of what they're going to be talking about in terms of messaging. And one of them was USS Liberty. It might have been a while ago. It might have been the 2018 conference, or maybe it was more recent. I'm not sure, but yeah, she showed that, and I'm like, look at this. Like this is where this stuff comes from. And you guys just wait, because I'm still building up to something, but it's mind blowing to see like these guys together and at an event, and they're discussing messaging, and it's things like USS Liberty, Israel to blame, bring up something from decades ago, hammer that point, and there'll be other points, like trying to say that Israel's connected to the American police in order to win over minorities to the Islamist Russian cause. This is one thing. Understand, people will say, oh, well, Russia and Iran are allies. That doesn't do it justice. Ideologically, they're now cemented together. Operationally, it's one thing when it comes to the ideological war. John Loftus, someone just mentioned, he was an old friend of mine. I spoke at his conferences when I was like 19, 2006 or something, 2017. And I know some people disagree with his theory about USS Liberty. It's been a long time since I read his book about it. But yeah, consider anything that Loftus says and make up your own mind. but it's just funny that you mentioned him. So all right, so now we're showing how the alliance that we laid out in episode 1 and 2, comes together with the Iranian component. We've shown you how Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps runs a covert operation to amplify Candace, which I'm speculating now. That probably has something to do with all the bots, right? I mean, we know now that they have a covert operation to boost Candace Owens. So why wouldn't it include bots and everything else? I mean, the bots that attack us whenever you mention their name. I would assume so, although that part I can't prove, but it's a reasonable thing. Let's go to Jones talks about Dugin meeting. This is just a little interesting.
Hold on. I think it's this one.
That one is, they're similarly titled. That one's E. Michael Jones talks about Dugin.
That's
where he's as a Christian authority. So you're seeing the radical Orthodox and the radical traditionalist Catholics coming together. So in this, it's an article, I think it's for the UNZ review, that Buckley Carlson, Tucker's brother, mentioned as one of, I think, 2 sources, credible sources, when he first went on his show and launched his career as a political commentator. Within like the first 5-10 minutes, he just like it burst out and he's like, Americans are realizing, because he talks a little funny, that there's really not too many sources besides you can trust. There's like 2, and Unz Review is one of them. And the Unz Review takes part in the conferences that I just told you about. That Iran conference with Dugin and E. Michael Jones. Unz Review has been linked to that in the past, and there's a bunch of other crazy links. They've also had literal Nazis write for them, but on their website, the one that Buckley Carlson promotes, and Ted was urging Tucker's audience, that you can't trust really anyone except for Tucker and these guys, is an article by E. Michael Jones talking about when he met Dugin, and the key quote in there. Let's see. After the session concluded, I was approached by the keynote speaker for that day. The keynote speaker, Iran's keynote speaker, was Alexander Dugin, the sociologist who was a driving force in Russian nationalism, who had spoken about the multipolar world, blah, 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 blah. Well, he thanked me for my intervention about breaking the Jew taboo.
The Jew taboo, that's got a little jingle to it.
Right. See, and he starts talking about how Dugin was basically privately anti-Semitic, but even then they were wondering how far they could go. E. Michael Jones was the one that, opened up the door. They create a receptive audience, and then they could become a little bit more aggressive with what they really believed about the Jews. Thank you to E. Michael Jones. He also mentions Kevin McDonald, who's another one of these guys who's in this circle will come up very often and is connected in all the same ways. Some of you guys might have heard him if you're really into this stuff. But the point here is that Dugin thanks E. Michael Jones, who writes for the Revolutionary Guards Corps that's running the pro-Candace operation, for breaking the Jew taboo. Now, just
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because this is where's the cliffhanger. So, does E. Michael Jones matter though? If he doesn't have an American audience beyond Unz Review? I mean, Unz Review is big, but like I don't know if this guy he doesn't lead like a big organization. He's not one of the top podcasters. So am I still just talking about bad guys amplifying Candace's material, which you could say something wrong one day unintentionally, and bad guys might seize upon it and regurgitate it. I don't think that's going on with Candace, but that's what a cynic would say. So what's the missing ingredient for me to reach expectations here? Well, if it's E. Michael Jones, it's pretty disappointing because, I mean, he doesn't have an infrastructure. So, yeah, some American that appears on Iranian TV, but, like, what reach does he have? Or how does he reach people? Well, let's go to the next one. Will you look at that? There's the pipeline, folks. Russian and Iranian pipeline that includes the covert pro-Candace Owens operation by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, which includes E. Michael Jones as like the interloper for reaching Americans, appears on her show. and gets a whole new one. And here's the kicker. That's just when it was publicly released that date. For some reason, it was like it was delayed like a long time. Like, all right, so that one, yeah. So it was originally behind a paywall. Why? I think she was scared because at first she does it, and let's see if we go to Jones Says Candace, because here's what happened. So he starts complimenting her, which again is kind of the pattern for the Russia-linked people we've talked about, right? They always publicly flatter her first, and sometimes in like ridiculous ways that make you want to throw up. So he starts praising her, and then somehow they make contact. And so they made contact in probably November 2024 or somewhere around there, because I think that summer he started praising her, but don't quote me on that, but somewhere around there. And so somehow they get into contact. She notices his tweets, or maybe she was getting more radicalized and just came across his work. But apparently the interview does really well. So she told me that she wants to review all of my books. I mean, that's a big deal for someone, whether you're an extremist or not. Having Candace Owens basically promote all of your books. She wants
I
to
got you.
review
I'm coming.
all of my books. What?
I got you. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. So what's amazing here is that so they have the interview, and he's most known for Holocaust denial. At this point in time, she's getting worse and worse, but like that's like the big one. And like I was even messaging people. I won't say who. Their names you guys would know. And I was like, hey, she's tiptoeing. We're gonna get to Holocaust denial. You just watch. And then she started following certain people on Twitter, and this is someone deliberately creating an echo chamber just to give themselves dopamine hits because it's all stuff that they agree with. But when someone doesn't follow many accounts and they all say one thing and it's all more extreme than what they're publicly saying, then you can assume they privately agree with what those accounts are saying because they're choosing to make those voices exclusively their sources of information.
So I was looking for I was trying to pop it up as you were talking. Yeah. The one about the Jones Says Candace to review all books. Hold on.
Well, that is that one. That's up.
Is it? Okay.
Yep. And then Jones, one of only 8.
Jones, I got that one now.
Of only 89 follows.
I absolutely have it right here.
This is hysterical because it was. So all this is going on at the same time, guys. This is late 2024.
Here we go. Is that it right there?
The Iranian regime's promoting her stuff, and then one of their people, who's part of their covert ops, but he's acting publicly, is publicly flattering her, and boom, makes contact with her. And he becomes one of only 89 people that she follows on X. Another is Dan Bilzerian. Yeah, sorry, it's just so ridiculous. Dan Bilzerian, yeah, he's a real authority on these issues. He was involved in making a pro-Hitler film. He appears in Russian state media. And all the other accounts, Norman Finkelstein, Stu Peters, like all the bad guys is who at this time she surrounds herself with, but she hasn't quite crossed that bridge into Holocaust denial. Now, remember what Alexander Dugin really loved about E. Michael Jones. He can get you over that bridge, over the where you can really let it be known, what you think of the Jews. Before that, you got to say Zionist, I hate Israel. You got to, dance around a little bit. But Dugin really liked E. Michael Jones because he could do it first, and then you could follow. Candace is at that same point in this time that this is going on. So she's saying radical things, but hasn't quite gotten to like Holocaust denial. And then what happens? E. Michael Jones is one of the 89 people. She still hasn't said what he believes, though. So this is the process we've been talking about of an influence campaign, of radicalization. But it's especially vivid because Candace is choosing to create the echo chamber for herself that's filled with stuff that she agrees with or more extreme versions of what she agrees with because she doesn't like diversity of viewpoints and she's not really open-minded. That's not fun. It doesn't give her dopamine hits. So fill it with anti-Semites. And it's so bad. This is just more of a comedic thing. I forgot to mention. So where I was going with that is that she interviews E. Michael Jones. You see, it goes well. He's like, oh, she wants to review all my books. And then she says, all right, it's coming out in January because his fans are like, well, where is it? So it happened for months. It gets like delayed. And when she releases it, it's behind a paywall. Like if you go to her YouTube channel, at least for me, when I put in his name, nothing pops up. Like it's hard to find. And so she must have gotten wet feet at that time because she didn't review all of his books. But
I don't think she really reads, but go ahead.
Yeah,
So
right.
she's claiming,
She has the
yeah.
audio book and she has the Holocaust denial coloring book that I guess Michael Jones makes. But he does this essentially the same thing so she's warming up her audience with him. Hey, listen to this guy. She doesn't interview him about Holocaust denial, but anybody who goes to his website, anyone who reads his book, they'll get it. So she's doing that trick. Oh, let's talk about how pornography is terrible, which isn't even like his main issue. They're just finding stuff that would capture an audience as a way of advertising his content, which is primarily Iranian propaganda, the pipeline, and Holocaust denial. And so just like Dugin appreciated him because he broke the Jew taboo for Dugin and other people, Candace brings in Michael Jones, probably not even realizing that Dugin did the same thing, like that was his purpose, uses him in the same way. She's a little bit nervous, hides it behind a paywall. But then by the time July 2025, June 2025 comes around, then she's comfortable and releases it in full. But still, she doesn't make a big production out of it because it was technically already done and released. It's just behind a paywall. So it doesn't make a big splash. But that's exactly by design. Like, think about how perfect that is. She knows the backlash to that is going to be very, very bad. Whether they talk about Holocaust denial or not, just having the Holocaust denial guy who's working for the Iranian regime very basically openly and meeting with Dugin for these propaganda planning meetings in Iran, that's bad. But she still wants her audience to get more radicalized because then they'll be more loyal to her. Mm-hmm. Right? It's the same thing as like a narcissist does to trap like a romantic victim, like one of these crazy guys. Women do it too, but like in the movies, like you're severing their connections.
Yeah, you won't let them talk to family. They find reasons not to like people or reasons that these people aren't good for you. Only I'm good for you. Yeah.
Right. So what you're seeing is that this is where the cultist stuff comes from, guys. Like it can come through political stuff because you just slowly radicalize them. You just have to make sure you go in stages. You can't just say, hey, let me talk to you about Holocaust denial. You gotta first seed it. And so that's what she did. She's like, this is too much for the broader public. But Michael Jones is the guy to get me there to break the Jew taboo. And so she releases it so that the people that pay, the people that most like her, can get it. And then it goes out to the public later, but doesn't make a splash. So it's available. But, and that's at a time when she's had enough time to warm her audience.
Well, let me ask you about that. So let's talk about that. This is your show, but I just need to jump that in there because this is what I'm pulling from it. So, like you said, she wants to be the one conduit, the one person that they trust. So, I feel like that's why she chooses to share intimate details. But the thing that gets me is, she touts transparency, and then when she gets caught in a lie or something like that, she'll tell them, well, I have been sitting on this, but in the same breath, she'll tell people she doesn't sit on things, but I've been keeping this from you for a couple of weeks. I mean, and that was another thing that got me too was, I've been sitting on this for a couple of weeks, but you just said that you tell them everything. So which is it? So that was one thing that I noticed.
Well, when you don't have objective morality and you're about manipulating people, and you don't have a core ideology except for there's people that I hate, and therefore I hate the group that they belong to, and I'm going to ally with their biggest nemesis, which is the consistent way she operates. Then, someone made the point that Ian Carroll said how he slow walked his audience to the Jewish question. The historian, Daryl Cooper, who appeared on Joe Rogan's show and then Tucker and made a big splash. He's known as Martyr Made on X. And then he built a big fan base. It came out, I think Mother Jones found it, in a message board many years, like maybe 2015. He was saying, look, you white supremacists and Nazis, because it was a Nazi chat, are doing this all wrong. You got to, same thing, you got to slow walk people. There's certain taboos, and here's how you're going to frame it. And then you get people there. And the examples and the way he was describing it is exactly what he deployed on Tucker and on Rogan. So that's
I agree with that. So did Ryan Mauro. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, if you guys can send me the exact quotes on social media of the or email if you want to go through ryanmauro.com, it'd be good for us to have a single thread or a collection of all of them saying that. Just like, we had it for the jihadists of Muslim Brotherhood before. Let's apply the same. It's important that we apply the same model.
So did y'all hear that? He just said, hold that thought. Did y'all hear that? He said, email him or go to ryanmauro.com. You can support there, but also send your thread. Send him the links to the thread so he can include it. Go ahead. Next one.
Yeah, whenever we can show the bad guys talking about a grand plan and how they're going to operate, and there's a commonality, it's important we have it all together so people can see it's not one guy. Like, this is an actual plan that's taking place and you're seeing it right in front of you. Now this is more of just like to show you just how ridiculous this is. Let's go to, I'm not going to say it.
No, I got you. Don't say anything. Boom. It's up here on the screen. I'm ready for you. Boom. There it is.
So Candace Owens, I think this is from 2023 too. So it's not even that long ago. So he says this.
Put your chain on.
No. So
instead of a gold chain.
So I mean, last time I checked, Candace is black, but she hates Jews and I guess likes Russia and by extension Iran so much that I guess this doesn't matter, or maybe she just didn't know about it. But this is the type of guy that we'll just assume she doesn't know about it. Because I don't want to make an assumption, without more substantiation. Yeah, let's show the second, but second one just to show like, it's not a one-time thing. And this is what he's saying publicly. So this is who the guy really is. So I guess he hasn't had anyone break that taboo for him yet. So he's not using it more aggressively. He was able to break the Jew taboo for Dugan and Candace. But that taboo, maybe he needs somebody else for it. But that just shows you how like the type of people that we're dealing with. Now, that's not just it, guys. I got a couple other threads. I'm going to try to go through them quickly.
You ready for the next one?
So, earlier, we were talking, you can go to that. We were talking about how the Iranian regime, explicit Iranian regime ecosystem was promoting Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. We know that the Russians were as well from the earlier podcast, but the Iranians were doing it blatantly. And then the ones that are disguised a little bit, like Gray Zone, which is heavily tied to Russia, run by Max Blumenthal. Like, this is where it escalated. People think Candace just came up with it on her own. She was speaking like vaguely because she wanted to get there when Charlie was murdered. Say, there's a conspiracy. We're going to find out the truth, that type of thing. But who broke the taboo? Again, that's kind of like key here. Who's the one that escalated it? Who's the one that went there when other people, really kind of couldn't in a substantive way? Because you needed something. You couldn't just say Israel did it. You have to have some type of hook. Well, it was Gray Zone. Russia linked Gray Zone. And so this report comes out where they're saying, Charlie Kirk was frightened by pro-Israel forces before death. By the way, Russia linked InfoWars, Harrison Smith, I believe that's his name, in August. This is creepy. I'm not making an allegation, but it's creepy. In August, he makes Charlie's alive, makes this weird X post about a source has told me, because like InfoWars really has their sources,
and those papers everywhere.
Charlie Kirk is afraid that Israel's going to kill him because he was not as pro-Israel as he once was. That gets said in August by Russia-linked InfoWars. Charlie gets murdered September 10th, shortly thereafter, and then the date on this, September 12th, 2 days later. This gets served up, reinforcing that, but in a more substantive way, and going into some more details about saying a Trump insider and longtime friend of Charlie Kirk tells the Gray Zone that the assassinated conservative leader's turning point on Israeli influence provoked a private backlash from Netanyahu's allies that left them angry and afraid. And it goes on into more and more, and that's when it really escalates. So that taboo gets broken by the Russia-linked Gray Zone. But you know what I was saying about this is a war of ecosystems. So I talked about Russia-linked InfoWars had that, I guess you could say, suspicious message. I'm not accusing them of having foreknowledge. We need more evidence before we can really go there. But it is creepy. That like, again, that message, that original message in August, Charlie was alive. Why are you putting out a report? A source tells me that Charlie's telling people that Israel's about to kill him, when you could just get a quote from him or go to him and be like, can you verify? None of that happens. They just a source tells me Israel's about to kill Charlie Kirk. A month later, Charlie gets killed. 2 days later, Russia-linked Gray Zone puts this out as like the first supposed substantive evidence that post from August is true, and there's something to it. There's something to suspecting Israel. It validates that. And now, like I said, the ecosystems are one thing. So let's go to the next one. So, all right, so that's Russia-linked Gray Zone with Max Blumenthal. I wonder what Max Blumenthal is now.
I don't have the Blumenthal file. I've been looking for it this whole time. I have the one after it ready to go, but
do you have any that says Blumenthal?
I was reading every line, and there's nothing in here. The Blumenthal Iran. So you were talking about Jones. I went through all of it. I'm looking right now. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Do you want me to look it up for you real quick? Is it something I can look up, or is
it? Yeah, type into YouTube. Actually, no, it's going to give it away. Don't worry about it. Where is he right now? In Iran. He went to Khamenei's funeral.
Yes, and I do have the next one, Patrick Henningsen, Kirk conspiracy.
So this is a guy you guys might have seen. I was on Arab TV with him, and I made him have a meltdown.
Oh, I have that. I have that clip.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Let's since I'm going long like I always do, we'll just skip it. But so think of the timeline. So in August, and this just might be a weird coincidence. I don't know. August 2025. Russia-linked InfoWars, while Charlie is alive, puts out this rumor that Charlie believes Israel's about to kill him. Weeks later, Charlie Kirk is killed, September 10th. September 12th, the article I just showed you comes out through Max Blumenthal, who is in Iran now. That validates that earlier rumor with probably false information or maybe some taken out of context, whatever it is. That's when the taboo is broken, and you can now say, I suspect Israel. It generates from there. 3 days later, I mean, different outlets then amplified that. But to give you another example of the evolution of this, now we can go to Patrick Henningsen. This is a guy who's also originally comes from InfoWars and then started working for RT, Russia's official propaganda channel, while having his own company. So he could claim to be independent because he has 21st Century Wire, but at the same time, his byline is with Russian state media and then InfoWars and then other places. He's also very active in Iranian and Hezbollah meetings. So he's in that ecosystem too. Again, one thing. So after the Blumenthal Gray Zone article, now you have Patrick Henningsen coming out. And he says he starts suspecting Israel. Israel should be the top suspect. Why? Because they're quite open about political assassinations. And he starts referencing Russia-linked Max Blumenthal. And so he is now promoting this. And this is an American who works for Russian influence operations. But his rhetoric is a little bit like, they didn't know how far to go with it at that point. Like Putin was being pro Charlie Kirk because they wanted to seize his legacy. But at the same time, you had state media outlets with a history of saying, oh, he's a dirty Zionist. So like you can see them kind of struggling with the messaging at this point. But still now you have Henningsen in there working with Russian state media to say Russia-linked Gray Zone's news story is worth considering, and consider this point. Israel does political assassinations. Logically, they should be the first suspect. So they're amplifying it, adding a little bit to it. So they're validating Russia-linked Gray Zone's article, which is validating Russia-linked InfoWars rumor in August. And Henningsen, the one doing this now at this point in time I'm referring to, used to work as an associate editor or something like that at InfoWars. See, so it comes full circle. It's amazing. Now what's he up to? I wonder what Henningsen's up to. I mean, we know Max Blumenthal is in Iran right now. So it's not just a Russia thing. It's people will point to it, but I mean, he's going to Iran. Just like E. Michael Jones going to Iran. Oh, look. He has like free-flowing access to Iran. The Iranian state media is using him just like E. Michael Jones. And again, so he promotes the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theory, but what we're seeing here is that, yeah, he's connected to Russia, but he's also connected to Iran. And so Iran through him again is part of the same ecosystem that positively references Candace and has someone, E. Michael Jones, that builds a relationship with her, is like today converging in Iran. It's amazing to see. It's amazing to see the thread of how the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories originated and escalated. Whereas everybody thinks it was just all made by Candace. No, it was like this was going on. Other people broke the taboo, and then she referenced it, and then she went 10 steps further. So it's working exactly like how it's all supposed to from their perspective. Now, let's go to Halali, or however you say his last name. I'm not always good with these names, guys, but Halali.
Yeah, I have it up. I just pulled
there
it
is,
up.
Yeah. So Candace goes to Russia. And this is in June, so she's fully into the whole Charlie Kirk conspiracy thing. And that's her on the panel. And I might have sent you and this guy says, oh, I'm listening to the great real Candace O live at that super secure event in Russia that she went to. That's really sketchy. And so this guy's there. So like, I wonder who he is. Like, what would his bio say? Oh, he's a journalist for Russian propaganda, DD Geopolitics, like one of the big ones. Lives in Moscow, international secretary of the American Communist Party.
Oh my
and for those of you that know this stuff, that's also Jackson Hinkle, like helped create that. One of the guys, there's a video, I believe, with him participating in Russian military operations in Ukraine. They meet with the Houthis. Jackson Hinkle went to Nasrallah's funeral. The leader of Hezbollah is killed by Israel. So they're another part of that pipeline. And what do you know? The American guy from the American Communist Party, which originally promoted something called MAGA communism. They're trying to promote the idea that Trump's ideology and communism could be combined. At that time, Hinkle was claiming to be a pro-Trump conservative, and then he went over and started doing this stuff. And so they formed the American Communist Party. That is basically just a Russian front, to the point that here a statement leaks from the guy that we just mentioned was at Candace's speaking engagement and is reaching out to her, where he basically talks about how he got medals by working as a Russian state asset in Syria, like in service to the Russian government on a covert operation to influence the Kurds by putting together a LGBTQ. We don't have to get into it. It's a little bit too into the weeds, but it had to do with the Syrian Democratic Forces backed by the U.S. and the Kurds in Syria, and so he's boasting about how Russia sent him to infiltrate the U.S. Kurdish alliance, and try to cause problems. And he's got medals, and so he worked. This is a Russian agent, basically by his own admission, and he interacted with Candace. It seems, because he also says something like, oh, so it's so great to have finally met you or see you in person. And I feel like there was another interaction with either DD Geopolitics. I'm not sure if I even have the screenshot for it, but I feel like there was a little bit more than that in terms of her public X content, communicating back and forth with the American Communist Party guy. But
is it the one in him for him in Quam? Is it QU?
That's where we're gonna. So, where is he now? Remember the pattern, guys. Where is he? Oh, look, the American Communist Party guy that was at Candace's speaking engagement in the holy city of Qom. Sent off our beloved Imam. Now, he's not openly Muslim, I don't think. Maybe he is or maybe he isn't. But it actually doesn't matter. Why? Because what have we discovered over the past 3 episodes? It's not just propaganda. The ideology, the form of Tsarist Christianity that Russia has put together with Dugin is pro-Islamist. And they believe at the end of days, they're supposed to ally with Iran and the Mahdi and the Islamic leadership. So you actually, from their perspective, can be a Christian and then have an imam who, in a sense, like that can be your Muslim partner that your theology requires you to be a part of. Oh yeah, and someone made the right comment because I didn't point this out. Dugin was part of making the American Communist Party. Like he was like the key ideological influence. See, so it all comes together, and now we're not just with Russia, but it's fully integrated with Iran. So American Communist Party linked to Iran. E. Michael Jones linked to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's covert operation to influence Americans, makes contact with Candace Owens. It's just really amazing to see. Now, there's one more Dugin.
Yep, I got it right here.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I sent it.
You did.
Yeah. So this is from. It's just such a good like smoking gun of what I'm talking about, because I know it sounds crazy unless you've listened to the podcast, see how it evolved. So that's a Hezbollah Iranian regime propaganda outlet Dugin talks to. Dugin is part of the Iranian influence operations also. But what is he saying through in the English language Iranian Hezbollah propaganda outlet? He's praising Khamenei. We already know that. We could go in a little bit further, just a tad bit. Actually, no. Yeah. He's talking about the funeral for Khamenei. And I am personally inspired by the concept of, he's referring to the type of theocracy. Iran, that's the doctrine that Iran says they're following, that they're implementing to justify the theocracy. That's their form of government. So he's inspired by the Islamic form of government that Khamenei had and the convictions of the Iranian people, because, he wants you to believe that the Iranian people love the regime that shoots them, which drive them to fight against injustice and in defense of their beliefs. So that's so important because it just shows you that it's not just pro-Islamist from a geopolitical strategic point of view, that the form of Christianity that's being promoted by Dugin and Putin and E. Michael Jones and all of them, that's the smoking gun to show that what they're talking about is actually even worse than Putin is their main is what they want. Like they're saying that's great that Islam has this style of theocracy. He's upholding it. So what does he want Christians to do? Become the Christian counterpart to Iran. If he's endorsing that form of government for Islam, why wouldn't he endorse it as morally just and therefore like something you're obliged to pursue for Christianity, especially when you're boosting Putin? So I actually think if you follow the logic there, like Russia does not have an official religious council. Like the Iranian regime theocracy has a council of guardians and the radical clerics that go there, and they're still loyal to the supreme leader. So it's not democratic. It doesn't have like branches of government in any meaningful sense. But where it's really a theocracy is because there are clerics who, on a religious basis, can veto legislation and can make things happen. So Russia is more classically authoritarian, but the authoritarian professes to be Christian and controls the Russian Orthodox Church. It's a little bit different.
Well, let me ask you a question real quick.
I suspect that if Dugin is endorsing that style for Iran, that what you're going to see coming for Russia is more in that direction. It's that what you're going to see is Putin say, look, I'm so Christian, I'm forming a Christian guardian council. Because if Dugin's advocating it as like, that's what you should do with your religion and your government. Well, Russia doesn't have that. So I think that there might be a point in time where Putin, to really drive home the point to American Christians that he leads the last true Christian country, he's going to add a superficial part of the government that's like a religious council to make it more theocratic, because you do something like that makes enough of a splash that Christians hear about it instead of this messaging that they don't really pay attention to because it's like in the weeds. But you do something like that, you announce that the government's officially becoming theocratic. He'll deny it's theocratic, but it will be. And then now you got the whole world talking about you. So I would assume that that's a foreshadowing of what's coming for Russia. Otherwise, it wouldn't be logically consistent. And when it happens, and you force Christians in the West to talk about it, they know the ecosystem is going to be filled with all this garbage we've been talking about enough that when you think about it and you think about it some more and you want to see what other people think and learn about it, it can be filled with all the Russian and Iranian propaganda. So that I don't know for a fact that that's the plan, but that's logically where it leads based on this comment. And Dugin making a really big production out of endorse that style of government. There's a bunch of different evil ways to endorse the Iranian regime that they've used, but there's something to it. There's something more than just praising Iran because he's doing it in a particular way at this particular time. And you put it in the context of what the past 2 episodes we've been talking about, what we just talked about, it all starts kind of clicking together. And then the other people, we don't have to worry about the last one on the sheet, Regina.
I have it up for you.
Questions and all that.
Yeah, that's fine. I do have that last one up, that post that you made, but I did want to ask one question. Let's read this real quick. So Quad says Dugin's theology is unichronically,
Yes.
Unichronically the inverse of Bible theology, literally lining these folks up to be the bad guys in the prophetic timeline, wild stuff. And then, Texas Motherbird came up and said, wow, Quad, that's interesting. And I think it is too. Now, when you were mentioning
100% correct. There's a newly discovered text by Dugin. And a friend of mine's going through it so I don't want to give away too much. I'm hoping it's okay for me to say this part, but I read it's publicly available, but it was in Russian. It was only discovered and translated like past few months.
Yeah.
But it's like an entire book about weaponizing conspiracy theories to attack the West with them. And he says, there's a part in there that says, one of the stubborn problems we have is that like Christians who are really strong in their faith, like they get into the end time stuff. And a lot of them believe that Russia is part of the Gog and Magog that the Bible says the evil force that will start the battle of Armageddon at the end of times. And so many of them believe believe Russia is either Gog and Magog like directly or is going to be allied with it to advance the pro-Russian agenda. It's like, how do you influence Christians whose at the core of their particular faith is a belief that Russia's at the end of time is going to be the bad guy? And he actually says in there that we basically have to create a new eschatology. Mm-hmm. We have to reverse it. And this was written, I forget the time, but it was a long time ago. So you look at what's happening now with the Russian Orthodox Church and Dugin in recent months saying, actually, the Antichrist is a Jewish guy. It's going to be a Jewish Antichrist. Israel and the U.S. and the West, that's the Antichrist. That's Gog and Magog.
Yeah.
Us, we're the good guys that could take on the Russian Orthodox Church-led Christians, primarily the Orthodox, all those guys in Russia. So Russia is the katekon that battles the Antichrist at the end of time, is allies with the Mahdi, the messianic figure in Islamic end times prophecy, and that's the Battle of Armageddon. So he took it and he reversed it, which ironically makes those prophecies seem a lot more viable to actually happen in real life.
Yeah.
But in this creepy way where both sides think the other one is Gog and Magog. But understand, we have it in writing. It's a lie. It's an invention. He wrote about inventing it. But you just watch it. With everything I showed you, you just watch this. Even with that smoking gun, that's a lie. So in the next year or two, I bet you're going to have thousands and thousands of people that will grow to hundreds of thousands of people who identify as Christian that start repeating the stuff because it's a battle of ecosystems, and there's too many Americans and particularly Christians who don't know that that's what's going on, because almost nobody frames it that way as a war of ecosystems. And far too many are in it and don't realize it. And they don't realize how that ecosystem, even if you're not in it, can still pollute the one that you are in it if you try to stay away from it. And so these crazy ideas, just like some of the stuff that Tucker says about Churchill being the big villain in World War II, 5 years ago, you would have been laughed out of the room. There was nobody who said it. It got streamed, and now it's like a popular thing. What Dugin is saying is crazy, and we have them saying it's a lie. I'm going to make up this lie and I'm going to deploy it. Just watch. People are going to believe it. It's going to become a thing soon.
Let me ask you a quick question. I do want to address a couple of these comments too. So, the first thing is a question I want to ask you. Let me address this one real quick. Texas, I always heard since the 80s that the Antichrist would come out of Syria. So, having read the Bible chronologically several times, I can see how people would say that. The Bible also reads that, yes, in Revelation, it claims one Antichrist, all of that. And a lot of people believe that. But it also mentions several Antichrists in the Bible. So, it's not just singular, always it's plural. So, people are looking for that one. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So my question is, when you were talking about, Russia's moving towards, so we know with Iran, they have a supreme, it's called the Guardian Council. So no matter who's president or whatever, the final decision, yes, he can veto things. So when they make laws, they do have elections, but like you said, they're not real elections really, because the supreme leader has the ultimate authority on who can actually run for elections. And if they are elected, whether they can serve in that particular role. So my question would be, having that structure, do you think that's what Putin is trying to run under? Because these people, if you talk to them, they don't think that they live in that kind of oppression, I guess you could call it maybe.
Right. Well, before I answer that, the dollar challenge, guys, sorry, I have to do it. If you want to help me out so we can continue doing this, please donate at least $1 at ryanmauro.com. It's tax deductible, so I'm actually asking you to donate less than $1. A super chat is good. YouTube takes 30%. But if you want a comment to be read, that's one way that you can support us. And then engaging with all of our content is actually a huge help because the algorithm pays attention to that in a big way. So like when you share content, you interact with it. Please at least do that. That's a big help. And that's just a click. But if you can, really ask yourself, if you spend enough time, you care about this issue, you want to make a difference, a great way is to donate at least $1 that's tax deductible. So it's less than $1 at ryanmauro.com to the Mauro Institute. And I make it $1 because I'm not looking, I don't really care much about profit. I just want to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. And that's
well, let's say thank you to Mackenzie Moore. They did $5. Thank you so much. That's a huge help.
So you took care of 5 people who probably could afford to do it, but don't want to. Yeah.
That's amazing, y'all. And every little bit helps. I can't wait to go back and watch the replay. It's different when you're actually doing it and you're producing and stuff like that. But so many things I was fascinated by. It's just totally amazing.
Yeah. I make sure everybody in the comments, let me know if you think it, did it connect? Did it land where it came together? Did I present the ordering the way I did it? Was it effective?
So
because sometimes I see things and I instinctively know, I'm like, oh, that's a light bulb moment, but I don't. It doesn't always connect for other people. Because you have to know so much context,
Quad said, check out Dr. Biles. He's a biblical scholar, fluent Russian speaker that has dug through all of Dugin's stuff. Let me write that down.
Yes.
Paul Miles. I'll get that stuff over to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, and then before I went to the pitch for support, there was a question, but I didn't quite answer. But just so people know, a really good friend of mine, Joel Richardson, is my favorite teacher on Bible prophecy. I do not incorporate Bible prophecy into my geopolitical analysis or anything that I do. I keep it strictly separate. So I study it to the extent that it plays in extremist ideology, which is way more than people realize, way more. But I don't make a judgment call about that. That's way beyond my realm of understanding. And I want to keep, so it's not influenced by what I believe or don't believe about the end times. I don't know what I think. But Joel Richardson is someone who clearly knows it very well. He's a scholar. But what I look for in a person to know whether I trust them, are they humble? Are they fundamentally a really good person and charitable and treat other people well? Those people tend to be more accurate. Do they change their mind? Do I see them publicly going back and forth and saying, well, I have degrees of confidence, not just yes or no, but I'm highly confident in this, I'm a little bit less confident in that. And Joel does that. So he's someone that I'll always plug, and he knows he's studying Dugan stuff as well and is doing a fantastic job. I told him he's the only guy I know equipped to combat the end times based ideological offensive that's about to be unleashed by Dugin and the Russian Orthodox Church and the Russian government. He's the only one, because he knows the prophecy thing forwards and backwards, but he also knows geopolitics and he knows Dugin's work and all of that. And I'm not a prophecy guy, so I can't do that, but he can. So that's my pitch for my friend Joel Richardson, and that's kind of where I land on those issues.
That's pretty amazing. And, I think what you said was key, go to who you trust. And, I like the scholars too. You'd be amazed at the people that you could run across that, if you whip your Bible out and you talk chronologically. And you're right. I think there's too much contained between those pages and so much history and archaeological stuff that backs up the word. It's a lot to get into. So, I think what you're doing on your own is fascinating. And I did want to say thank you to Texas Motherbird. You've been huge keeping this conversation going. All of you, Tracy, Quad, Mackenzie, y'all can go to ryanmauro.com. And because it's tax deductible, it's less than $1 to help keep the lights on. So y'all, this live stream has been truly amazing. Hasn't put me to sleep at all.
I call it, instead of a podcast, I've been calling it a research cast, but then I found out when I Googled it that actually there's something called that isn't this. So I'm trying to come up with something else so that people think it's not just like, this isn't just your normal podcast, a guy with an opinion, and nothing against us, because some of those shows are very, very valuable, or even just based like this takes time. Because it's not just finding this stuff, it's all the false leads you have to pursue. But I'm also greatly helped by you guys. Like the amount of help I've gotten from people who particularly listen to Glenn Beck because of my work with him, or people that watch the podcast. The research you guys do for me is just phenomenal. I have a pile of amazing things that I want to release through Glenn Beck, through other outlets, and through the podcast that I can't just get to and process. So if there's anyone who's like a really excellent manager, I can't hire anybody, but if anyone wants to volunteer to help keep that stuff in an organized way and help me process it, and like has an idea of what that looks like, not just being in charge, but like, this is how you structure it. I could really use the help, because what happens is everybody wants to help doing the research, but then I'm in like 50 group chats and every single person gets excited over every important data point they collect and they put it in. And then I have to go back each time I look at each one of those 50 chats and string together all those data points.
Yeah.
Just to understand it, much less process it. So there's got to be a more efficient way, because you guys are sending me amazing, like just dynamite stuff. But I need some help getting it out, because
so you heard the man. You heard the man. So let's thank Tracy for the $10 super chat. Let's read it out.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, so she says, what can be done about these traders? Well, he just told you. He's looking for someone that will come on as a volunteer as tribute to help manage some of this stuff, all the information that he's getting. Are you talking about maybe one person that can organize? You said organize the stuff for you. So they would send it to that person, and then that person would be in. It is hard to talk to 100 people at one time. So if one person can filter and get the information and be that, it's not really a PR person. It's someone, like Alex is doing the production thing. It's a lot running a live stream, getting it ready to go live and all that. So if he could have just another person on the team that's reliable, that'll show up, treat it like a job, the money will come. But I'd say I'd just do it for the bragging, right? So
anyway. I'm happy to give letters recommend. Like the Mauro Institute is my nonprofit. I do have a professional back. I've had lots of interns before and things like that. So if you're looking to do something in the field and you want some type of limit, I'm not going to overwhelm you, some type of reasonable partnership or whatever, I'm happy to set that up for anybody. If you feel like you could benefit from that endorsement, having that on your resume or whatever.
I always
I guess what I'm looking for is like, there's a lot of good researchers out there already. And I could always use more, but there's just some people that are management geniuses and just know this is how you process it. Yeah. And I just need someone who can do that and take the bulls by the horns, because like there's a way to do it. I just
look at it this way.
Not my talent.
Look at it this way, y'all. So when you come into it, say, you know what, I'm really passionate. And I do know some people that would definitely, but it's being consistent because it's very important. He goes through a lot of work to get things ready, get it put in order. And I'm sure you've been working on this since you did your last episode. And I know just in today's stuff, you know, so you can multitask. So Texas Motherbird girl, hit him up in the DM, and I always
Yeah,
view it like a
good. Thank
90-day.
you.
I always view it like a 90-day challenge. Like I'm going to say, we're going to reach this goal in 90 days. What can I do for you in 90 days? And then when the growth comes, but yeah, I mean, jump in, researching, organizing, stuff like that. You heard the man. What's the best way? Is it through the Ryan
Yeah,
Mauro
RyanMauro.com, or connect with me
email?
on social media.
You
There's actually, because I talked about doing this on Glenn Beck's show months ago, I got a lot of resumes and stuff from people. But it's like, even that got overwhelming because there were so many people.
Yep.
So it's like, I just, when you have my type of brain, that's like, a research brain is just very different from that management type brain. It's like, I got all the stuff there, but it all overlaps like spaghetti. There's got to be someone that knows how
Developers
to
are the same way. Coders and developers, or creative people,
right.
artists or whatever. You do need help. And so Texas Motherbird says she's going to hit you up, y'all.
Cool.
And if you need help going through any of that stuff, I think I know Texas Motherbird, we know each other on the X platform too. So,
cool.
yeah, she's really cool. So,
Regina, plug your podcast, by the way. So I'm interrupting you for your sake. Just so everybody knows, I did a good long podcast all about manipulation in the media and how it's strategically done beyond the obvious ways, and little tells that I've used effectively to get things done and to detect when there's problems that you may not know. People seem to really like it when I take a statement, like they show me a clip and you think it's one sentence, and I can break it down 5 different ways and show all the hidden meanings and the different manipulations. It's something that I didn't even know there was a market for, really. But I'm finding that ever since I did that a while ago, people always want me to do that. So, but I do that a lot on your podcast. So tell people how they can go and find that one.
Thank you. Listen, y'all, you're going to say it on your channel too, because you said it on my channel. He's going to do a follow-up with me because we've got some stuff to chop up that's come out recently. But if you guys go over to, this is my YouTube channel, Wild and Wired Media. So like Ryan said, we chopped it up, Media Influence Exposed. And one of my favorite parts about it, hold on, I'm going to mute this. So yeah, good, it's muted. So one of my favorite parts in the interview was when he talked about the mice network, the 4 factors to look at when, you're considering, am I vulnerable? And I thought of myself, I was like, dang, am I vulnerable for these things?
Well,
Could I be a
you
mark?
made that point that I hadn't thought of. The MICE is the acronym that has been long used in the intelligence community, and then people add to it, make their own thing. But MICE has been like the core, MICE, for identifying whether someone is recruitable as an asset or manipulable as an unwitting asset. How you recruit a spy, basically. But it also applies to influence operations. And so, in short, M stands for money, I stands for ideology, C stands for compromise or coercion, and then E stands for ego or excitement. And then there's, subplots that, like, subpoints for each of those, depending on how complicated you want to make it. But you made the point I hadn't thought of, that you can also use that defensively, since that's kind of my mantra. Is not just that they're doing this, but that we have to defend ourselves. But I don't have a framework to do it. But MICE actually is that framework. That's how you analyze yourself and say, you're going to be weak in certain areas. And what do I need to be aware of in the MICE calculation? Where are my weak points that certain types of propaganda is going to be more effective on me, even if someone's not deliberately targeting me? Because there's certain things that are going to resonate with you without you realizing it more. And when someone does want to manipulate you in life or for an intelligence service, what are they going to see? And where are they going to probe? And if you really think about it, I bet you'll see patterns in your life where you've come across bad people. And once you identify those vulnerabilities, you'll be like, oh, they all saw the same.
They exploited that, right? Exactly.
You'll see certain commonalities.
I
Yeah.
want to see if I have it memorized. So, because I've really been thinking about this. So, the M in the mice is money, the I is ideology, the C is compromise, coercion. And you
Yep.
said that was the least of the four that most people meet that criteria. That's the
Yeah.
weakest one. And they only have to meet one of that criteria. And then the E is ego. So, I was
Or
like, dang,
excitement. So someone who's bored.
excitement. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, that's amazing. Okay.
And I
Well,
was saying
yeah.
I was saying the C is, I mean, it probably is less frequent, the least frequent of them. But it was in the context of Candace Owens. I don't know if she's being blackmailed, for example. I didn't have the
Right.
evidence to prove that she's fulfilling C, whereas I have a mountain of proof for the others. You only need one. You only need one. She qualifies. She qualifies by a mile for for the other three.
Well, some people have been dragging some stuff out of her past that I'm sure she'd like to keep suppressed. So it could be a compromise coercion situation with her, especially with the news that came out about George and his alleged run-ins with the law in Tennessee. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a thing. So it could be, I don't know. Great show, Ryan. Great show.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
amazing.
Thank you. So I
Yeah.
guess if there aren't any other super chats or comments we needed to highlight, should I wrap up, Regina?
I think you're good. Are y'all ready to go night night? A couple people have said good night. You got all of
Okay.
y'all. Thank you for
I know
lighting
it's
this up.
long, but it's the only way to show you the evidence trail. It's
Well,
for
let
you
me
to
tell
travel with.
Tracy before she goes. She says
Yeah.
she doesn't have an X account, and I understand that. I resisted
Sure.
against it for a while, but I will tell you, other than ryanmauro.com, that's probably where you're going to get your number one information first, I would think. But the X platform does have a great, he's got, if you follow him over there, he's got great posts and threads that actually go in deeper to this series that he's doing in other videos. So there's always, great nuggets that you can get from there. But I don't blame you. Like Texas Mother Bird said, that's probably, we understand. So, all
Yeah, X can
right.
be very bad for your mental health. I totally
It
get it.
can.
I mean, if you want, you can always just be very disciplined and only follow a few accounts. Click the bell so you get notified when they post something, and you block everything else can then be blocked out. You'll get some stuff on your timeline, but there's ways you can manage it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're looking for like my hour by hour reactions to things,
It's on
X would be
X.
the way to go. But
On
the best stuff will
YouTube.
still be on YouTube. Like
On
the
YouTube.
investigative stuff, like this is where it'll be. That
Yeah.
you can't do this on X really.
This is
So
very important. Make sure your notifications are set to all, ALL. So on that notification bell, drop it down, notifications. You'll see it automatically defaults to personalized. So make sure it's set to all so that you never miss an upload or live stream from my Ryan Mauro. And it works the same on the X platform. So great show. Give him your closing thoughts, and then we'll end this puppy, and everybody go night night till the next episode. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep. I'm on the edge of my seat with all this. So much was connected tonight.
that's awesome. That's great. That's great to hear. I'm looking forward to the feedback from everybody. That helps me very much. But thanks for tuning in. I know it's a long one. I'm aiming to make them shorter. This is just kind of to set the foundation. I have to do kind of like broad, deep stuff, and then there'll still be long ones at times in the future, but I am looking to have guests on, and I am looking to do shorter ones, sometimes ones that are just more analysis and then are shorter. So if this isn't your thing, tune in. There'll be other types of content that I'm putting through this that is shorter and a little bit different, so that you can learn this stuff in a different way. But thank you everybody for tuning in. I can't tell you what it means to hear positive feedback and to hear specifically like how it affected you or how you use the information in the future. Like that's what it's all about. That's what drives me more than anything else. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to the Counteroffensive. You guys follow me on social media, like, subscribe, and all that stuff that people always say. But I'll be working on the next episode for hopefully next week, as long as nothing comes in the way or I don't get stuck on a research trail that I need more time to complete. But I'm aiming
all the more
for
reason for the
week.
manager. We need you.
What I need a manager for. So thank you everyone for tuning into the Counteroffensive. I'm Ryan Mauro, and I will talk to you guys soon.